Yo, LOB Squad back here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Ben Simmons. Is he really as good as his all-star name is? Or is he someone who really can't play in the playoffs, and should not be valued as much as his own team, the 76ers, are valuing him? How are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Right.
We're doing good?
How about you?
I'm doing okay. I mean, Ben Simmons is not my favorite player, but I think he's a polarizing player in the NBA Twitter world as well as the NBA general manager area. So I think this is going to be an interesting and fun video as we kind of talk about some of the different scenarios, what teams should really be interested in him. I'll start. I think the team out there that should be going after him the most, should be pursuing, should be continuously calling the 76ers, the Daryl Morey, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're a team that, at this point, they have two max player guys, but they haven't really been able to contribute to winning basketball.
They haven't played again.
They haven't played a lot together, but I don't even know if they played together last year, if that would have been good enough to make even the playoffs. I really don't think that team's not that good.
Who do the Timberwolves trade for Ben Simmons right now?
So if I was the Sixers, I'd be asking for D'Angelo Russell, definitely, and then I think I would throw in Jared Culver. Not the greatest player, but value's low. Take a shot at a young guy. Maybe you can bring him off the bench if you want. If you don't, he's cheap, so you can put him in that trade. I would do D'Angelo Russell, Jared Culver, and maybe a future first.
Multiple first.
I think just a first. I mean, I don't even know. You don't need that much for Ben Simmons, in my opinion. I know he's a two-time All-Star. He's one of the best defenders in the league, but just his inability to score in the playoffs, it just scares me. And if you're a team in the NBA, your only goal should be to win a championship. And you see a player like that struggles to score in the playoffs, and ultimately kind of got his. I mean, I don't want to blame everything on Ben Simmons, because there were some other issues that came up in the 76ers series with Atlanta, but I think he deserves the majority of the blame. I mean, Joel Embiid, he played with an injury, played throughout that entire series. Had a great series. Tobias Harris, he had an okay series, not the greatest series, but he wasn't hurting the team like Ben Simmons. You had Steph Curry, who was averaging over 20 points, shooting over 50% from three, and that wasn't enough to win. So I think you really need to make a change.
Right. I think Ben Simmons is honestly, he's better at power forward. I don't think he should be playing point guard. Especially he doesn't have a jump shot. I don't understand for him to play point guard. I think he's best as a 4, maybe even a small ball 5 with
small ball 5.
I honestly don't mind the idea with the fact that he can rebound the ball at a high clip. The only thing that's really interesting is a lot of these tall players coming into the draft, it's they have potential to play the 1. He might be a point forward, but Ben Simmons, his entire career, at least ever since he's kind of blown up on the internet, he's always played point guard.
Right.
So he would have to go back the other way. So that's an interesting point, Cole. Yeah. Anyone else have any ideas?
Well, again, I think he's a point guard. I know his spacing is not great, but I don't see the Minnesota Timberwolves doing this trade. You've kind of already given up on D'Angelo Russell cap thing without even trying it. We got
they
three.
Should be out.
It was
they were the worst team in the NBA.
Cat was injured a bit.
Exactly. He was.
They haven't really played much. You could have D'Angelo. You could have Anthony Edwards and Cat all on the same team. That's a lot of offense. I know defensively a little bit shaky, but if you give it one season, try it out, I feel like there's a chance of it clicking.
Okay.
And throwing Ben Simmons into the mix, I'm not sure how well that's going to work out.
I just like the idea of having a player like Ben Simmons play with Karl-Anthony Towns, in the sense that Karl-Anthony Towns is a lethal 3-point shooter. He can stretch the floor, and then you have Ben Simmons, who puts a lot of pressure in the paint because.
Joel Embiid can also stretch the floor.
No, he can't.
Not
like that. Not like that.
He still has that ability.
He's a 30% 3-point shooter, and the reason why he shoots that many 3-pointers is because of Ben Simmons.
Yeah, he's making.
But let's look at the Sixers, what they were running with that line.
Yep.
So they had Simmons, Curry.
Yep.
Who they have at the 3?
Tobias Harris.
Tobias. Okay, and then.
Well, they had Danny Green for a while,
Green.
but he was
Danny Green, Tobias, and then Embiid. Most of those guys can stretch the floor.
Yeah.
No, Danny Green was injured, but still, you're still surrounding Ben Simmons with capable shooters to give him the paint. I'm not sure if Minnesota is gonna bring that. Again, Cat's a great shooter, but Anthony Edwards.
They have all those like guards with like a Kogi, like all those.
They don't have as a consistent shooters as the Sixers, I think, right now.
True.
Again, Cat's better than Embiid when it comes to shooting outside. That's really it for that lineup. I don't think the Timberwolves really benefit from this. Again, goal is to have good, like, you want to win in the playoffs. You know, Timberwolves have to get to that point. The Sixers want to win a championship. But if Simmons isn't that guy to win in the playoffs, I'm not sure if you want to invest so much into him right now as Timberwolves when you haven't even tried the D'Angelo Russell situation.
Okay. I just think from the standpoint of teams, I don't think at this point are going to be pushing for Ben Simmons. At least we haven't seen that. Just from the standpoint of the Sixers are asking for a lot for Ben Simmons. And if they're asking for that much, like 3 or 4 draft picks and like a all-star like player, then I don't think many teams are going to be calling the 76ers about Ben Simmons. But the Sixers should be doing everything in their power to maximize the potential of Joel Embiid. He's an all-star player, top 2 center in the league. You need a player, like, I'm not even saying D'Angelo Russell, but you need a player like him who's a pick-and-roll guy that can maximize Joel Embiid in the sense that he doesn't just have to post up. He can pop at the mid-range. He can pop at the 3. He can dive to the paint and just put a lot of pressure on teams. I just think you need a player like that. And we've talked about the Timberwolves here. I think another team that should be in trade talks with the 76ers should be like the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers, they're a team that has always been pretty mediocre to good the last few years. But I think they should be heading in a direction. I'm not even saying like a rebuild, but just like a retool. You have 2 centers who are good, but
Turner
don't really
stretch the floor for Simmons. They have Brogdon. I don't know if they would give him.
I think they'd end up trading Brogdon.
They have to trade Brogdon.
I kind of like to trade for both sides for the Brogdon trade. It was Brogdon like couple first, if I was not mistaken.
I would say Brogdon, probably Doug McDermott. They would like a shooter. I would say Brogdon and Doug. I think I would probably do it. Brogdon, Doug McDermott, and you probably have to throw in a first to make the Sixers satisfied.
Which I think that helps for the Sixers because they get that shooting and again, Brogdon's a very capable passer. Maybe not as good as Ben Simmons, but I think he's definitely close. And then
scorer for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Simmons goes to the Pacers where they kind of have more of an identity there. He wouldn't. I'm not sure if he'd be the guy right away because Sabonis is an all-star, but I think he's probably one of the top players.
How would that work?
That team would be weird. I think Sabonis would have to go. He would have to go.
Yeah, I know that would be a weird
Him or Turner would have to go.
Yeah, I feel like they're not really. Like the Timberwolves, they haven't even tried out their situation yet. I think the Pacers are kind of in no man's land right now. You go for Simmons. You have a young guy, possible future. You can focus around him.
Yep.
Could probably get rid of Sabonis for some shooters. You still have some capable shooters around Simmons. If you want to try to make a playoff push this year, you can. If not, maybe you try to blow it up. But I feel like by the Pacers doing that trade, they're almost in a better situation to know what they're going to do going forward.
I also think from the Pacers standpoint, getting a player like Ben Simmons, at this point, he's been a 2-time All-Star. You know there's some star potential. It could just be the situation in Philadelphia. We haven't seen him play for any other team. It could be the situation in Philadelphia that's not allowing him to spread his wings and maximize his potential. So you got a team like the Pacers who, small market team, might not land a star in the next 10, 20 years. That might be their best chance to get a player that has some star potential in Ben Simmons.
Small market, kind of look for it.
I don't think Philadelphia is the place for Ben Simmons to continue his career just because I think of it like how Carson Wentz, I know this is football, but he struggled in the Philadelphia environment. I think the fans are just so hard on the players sometimes.
Yep.
I agree.
You need to move on. I mean, same with Marco Fultz actually too, I think. That kind of messed with his mental health almost. You know?
Yeah.
But so you think if they keep Simmons, they're not a title contender next year?
I don't think so.
And until he leaves, until he gets traded, he's not. They're not a team I believe in.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't be. They're great defensively, but
again, you look at it. They're one win away from going to the Western Conference Finals.
Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm sorry, Eastern Conference. Damn. Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if Giannis is not healthy. If he gets injured again, and it's a 2-2 series.
Too many what ifs. Personally.
I know, but they're still there. They've kind of kept Actually, they haven't kept the same core, but they almost beat the Raptors when the Raptors won the championship.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just.
I think they're still a title contender. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get over that hump with Ben Simmons staying as is.
I have another small market team, Portland Trailblazers, for CJ and a couple first maybe. That'd be exciting. But
that would be exciting.
I don't know how the center position would work because Nurkic doesn't really like stretch the floor for the Trailblazers, but it would be.
And then you have Damian Lillard, who's gonna have the ball in his hand the majority of the time. So you would have to play Ben Simmons at the 4.
Yeah, that would be a nice pick and roll duo right there.
It could be. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting trade.
Yeah.
And I think CJ McCollum's one of those players around the league that like everyone knows he can hoop. He's a good player, but like I don't know how he's not like that. He has never been an all-star, so he doesn't hold that price tag that some of these other players like a D'Angelo. I think D'Angelo Russell, just for the pure fact that he's younger, he might hold a little bit more value.
Right.
And TJ McCollum, he's a 2, and we haven't seen him do it on his own team. Not that you would be doing it on your own team in Philadelphia because you still have Joel Embiid, but he would be the primary ball handler, or he'd be like their primary scorer.
Right.
Kind of like the guy they're looking for in Tobias Harris, but he might not be that guy.
Yeah.
I think a team that I thought of for trading for Ben Simmons would be the Dallas Mavericks. And I think it's kind of perfectly set up right now because Porzingis wants out.
Yep.
And, I mean, the Mavericks probably need more defensive players, right? Because Luka isn't the greatest defensive player. So you have Ben Simmons at point guard. You can, you know, dish the ball out to Luka and other players.
You can't just be like your Maxi Kleber, just like be able to
could, honestly, if you wanted to play center for that.
I mean, that's an expensive Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, if you think of like the Sixers with Porzingis and Embiid, that would be pretty scary.
I mean, you would probably
have to stay healthy.
And Tobias.
You have to start Tyrese Maxey. You have to have a lot of faith in him, which I do think he's a good.
Or you could start Shake Milton if you really wanted to.
Don't do that.
Or Seth at the point.
Don't do that either. I would start Maxey, young player.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential. He's one of those players that even in the playoffs, he showed up. He's not a great shooter, but he kind of gives you everything else you need in a point guard.
He definitely has potential in the league.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this game.
One thing though, I'm curious about. So we talked about the Blazers. There's been talks about Damian Lillard going out, wanting out. What are the odds that he leaves? Not just the Sixers in general, but what are the odds he leaves and just leaves?
Oh, Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Because I think pretty low, honestly.
I think
unless if he comes out to the media, comes to the front office, like I demand a trade. Yeah. That's the
okay. I think
because then if that's the case, I think they definitely do the CJ McCollum trade because they have a young guy kind of moving forward.
I honestly think we're gonna find out after the free agency hits, after a few days of that, because we have to see what Portland does. He already said in his press conference that he wants to stay in Portland, but it's all predicated on the fact that they need the GM. His owner, they need to go and not just spend money. They need to make trades to make this team better.
They made a dumb trade with Norman Powell and for Gary Trent. That was probably one of the worst.
Not a great trade, but it's like Norman Powell, a good player, just doesn't fit the team. Like I mean, you have a player in Gary Trent who's just cheaper at this point. I think they were scared they had to pay him.
Yeah, that was probably
that had to be it.
Yeah.
But
I just don't see Simmons and Lillard necessarily coexisting on that Blazers.
I don't think that would help Lillard stay either. I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think it's one or the other. Like if Lillard's out, then they
Simmons or something.
What about a team like OKC? They have a lot of picks. I mean,
Kemba Walker to the Sixers.
It would have to be a Kemba Walker, or it could be a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but I don't think it's that. Don't believe it's that.
They seem to be building towards their future with the draft, like Josh Giddey. Yeah. Not sure. That was surprising, but
they already have an Australian team. They don't need another one.
They're clearly building forward the future. Like,
yeah.
If you want, I would not give up Shea for Simmons. I think they're set on Shea.
I would not either.
If Kemba wants to get out, I guess that wouldn't.
Do you think
Kemba would be good with Embiid?
I do too. He just stay healthy.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a scare there you have two players who are injury prone. You might have a 30-win season if they both get injured.
Yeah. But I don't see how Simmons really fits on the.
I think the thing is they're such a young team,
and
they have a lot of picks.
Shea can also run the 2.
Yeah, you put Shea at the 2, and you run Simmons at the 1, and you from that point on you just build with shooters. Like it's kind of a blank canvas.
Experimenting almost as you're building up. I can see that, I guess.
But I mean, they have to have a lot of confidence in Ben Simmons, which doesn't seem like a lot of teams.
No, if they don't want to use Kemba, you get rid of that contract with Simmons. I guess that does work out. Yeah. I just feel like that trade makes sense on paper, but I just feel like it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I agree.
It seems really unlikely to happen. different time.
Yeah, I personally think that, I mean, right now we're talking about different trade destinations for Ben Simmons, but I don't think he's going to get traded until he plays. At least he'll start next season, I think, in Philadelphia. He might play his stock up a little bit, and then teams from there might.
I don't think he's going to survive till the start of the season.
You don't think so?
Like Dan said, Philly is.
So do you think
Philly
they're going to go? The Sixers front office is going to go through trying to trade. They probably want a lot back, and they're going to see we're not getting it, and it's just going to slowly decline in value.
Again, talks about them struggling to even contact Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign for your young point guard of the future going into it. Especially, it is the off season, so it's a little bit. We could still see the same reports of going into the season. I would not be surprised if he's still in the
It's tough because he's a player that's so unique that you almost need you need a franchise to really buy in on him. And at this point, rightfully so, I think the Sixers should be buying into Joel Embiid over Ben Simmons. I don't think there's any debate. It's probably just easier to build around.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Embiid centers right now. There's a couple of great ones. A couple of great centers for the future. I think Embiid's already there. Him and Jokic, I think, are right there.
I do too.
Might as well just build around him. He's proven he's an MVP level He's an MVP caliber player.
Yep.
Led his team to the 1 seed. I think.
And it seems like the city of Philadelphia respects him a lot more than Ben Simmons. So, it's tough because you want to see a young player succeed. I mean, at this point, he's 24. He's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, but I just don't know what the trade destination is. There's definitely going to be a team out there if they don't have to give up too much. He's a player that has a lot of potential, so we'll see.
Yeah,
but,
we'll see.
Yep. Anyone else have anything else to say here?
No. We're good here.
No.
Good luck to him.
Yeah. Good luck to Ben Simmons. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, and peace.